Herb Adderley etched his name into the NFL record book with this 80-yard interception for a touchdown.
Hope that God can defend them. Yeah, got the world trying to kill them. Yeah.
I'd like to welcome everybody to another live edition here of Candid Conversations with the Herb Adderley 26 Foundation. I am your host, Devon POV Mason, and tonight we have a special guest, our first female interview, which is groundbreaking for the foundation as a whole and for what we're trying to accomplish here with mental health and anxiety and depression in athletes, student athletes and former athletes as well. We have Morgan Mitchell, former Riverdale Baptist star, also played at FAMU. She's here to tell us a little bit about, her story and just give us a rundown of the things that she has encountered through her, that she did encounter through her athletic journey. So without further ado, I'd like to welcome Morgan Mitchell to the show.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited definitely to be the first woman, so it's huge to be groundbreaking.
Candid. Tell us a little bit about yourself, Morgan.
So like you said, I went to Riverdale Baptist. I graduated from Riverdale Baptist in 2017. Played basketball about all the time that I was at Riverdale, and then went to junior college in Frederick, Maryland for a year. After that, God was blessed enough to get a Division I scholarship to play at FAMU for the last 3 years of college. And then now I am teaching at my alma mater, Riverdale Baptist, and I am also coaching the boys basketball team there.
Wow. Okay, so you went back home. Tell us a little bit of your journey. Riverdale Baptist, Shakira Austin was on that team?
Shakira actually was the year after me.
Okay.
Some of the greats I grew up with, Jonquel Jones, who's actually playing in the league now, definitely looked up to her when I was younger.
Okay.
Let's see, Jenny Sims.
Jenny Sims, all right.
Kyla Charles, I got to play with her, still my big sister, love her to death. Who else came through there? Wow, it was a lot that came through there while I was there. Just blessed to be able to learn from him, especially Coach Richardson. She was really my first basketball coach. Even though she coached varsity, she was a coach that pushed me the hardest when I started playing basketball in middle school. So it was pretty cool to learn from them and to learn the game from them and to be able to grow during my time at Riverdale.
That's dope. For y'all that don't know who Jonquel Jones is, she's the starting center for the New York Liberty, and she was WNBA MVP a couple years ago. So she's a hell of a player. So
shout out to them.
To learn.
Won that series.
Yeah, you beat the Mystics of Shakira Austin's team 2-0. So
hate it.
Yeah, it was pretty good. Tell us a little bit about your high school journey and what at Frederick, when you went to Frederick and you were there for a year and you transferred out and you went to FAMU. Tell us a little bit about the high school journey to Frederick, and then we'll get into FAMU and what went down there in Tallahassee, I believe that is. Yeah.
I would say the biggest thing I pushed for was to learn to be tough. I encountered a lot of things as far as adversity at a young age when it came to the sport of basketball. And that's one thing I think a lot of athletes do. You encounter a lot of adversity at a young age. And it makes you tougher. And you can either choose to be stronger because of it, or you can decide to go a different route. And I thought that, the offers I had on the table coming out of high school, I was better than that. And so I went to junior college, took the offer to go to junior college, and thankful for Coach Henry for allowing me to grow and be myself while I was there. I went into junior college and I became a different basketball player, but I also grew as a kid. I was an hour away from home, but I thought I was the most independent person in the world. And it was just a lot of fun to be able to be with people from different parts of Maryland with different experiences. But at the same time, I think a light switch went off that you could really do it. And so when my first offer came through in junior college, it was just I realized that, I could go a little bit harder. And that if I was a little bit tougher and a little bit mentally stronger, things and doors will open up at the end of the day. So I think through that time, I learned a lot about myself. I learned that you're capable of way much more than what people think you are. Just because somebody is supposed to be leading you at the moment and views you one way, their view is their view. And who you are at the end of the day will shine in what you do. And so I think I went to Frederick and I allowed who I was and the leader that I was to shine, and was able to make it to the level I wanted to make it to, which was to play Division I basketball and to take that money part off my parents and to go to a different state and ball out like the people before me have. So it was pretty cool.
That's dope. That's dope. So you get to FAMU, and when we were talking, you said there's a different coach every year, but you were there. So that's got to be depressing, because you get comfortable with a system, you get comfortable with a coach, out the door here comes a new one, and everyone does stuff differently. So in a way, that could play on your mental to an extent. And from what you told me when I, over the phone when I called you, that was hard for you. So could you give us a little background on what you encountered with that and how you were able to just kind of migrate and still be able to stay there for 3 years and deal with that?
I think it was love. When I went to FAMU, it was love at first sight. I was in awe of just the people there, the community there, and the love that was on campus within the Black community. It was my first time really being at a HBCU. It was my sophomore year at college. And so one thing that I definitely made sure when I picked the school that helped me along the journey was I loved the school. So even when basketball went left, the environment was still good for me, and I still was able to find friends within that environment to help me grow. But yeah, it was very challenging having a new coach every year and not knowing what your situation was going to look like within the next year, honestly within the next couple of months. My first year, the coaches that recruited me, all of them were fired besides one.
Wow.
He stayed and became the interim for my second year. And I was able to get a little bit more comfortable under him, Coach Kevin, because he was my recruiting coach. So I kind of gained my footing. I was playing a lot better. I was starting to make a name for myself. I was leading. And then they ended up hiring a new coach my senior year. And so then senior year was also the year that COVID hit. So it was very difficult. It was a crazy transition. But one thing that kind of helped me through it is I have a saying like in my family that's like, cry 2 tears in a bucket, and if it doesn't kill you, then yeah, the rest. But it is like you get over it, because you got to keep going. It was either I didn't have a lot of film to go to another school because I never was one of those kids that could get my footing that quick. And so my first year was a challenge. I didn't want to transfer out because the transfer portal was ridiculous. I didn't want to put my name in, and then I ended up not having a home. So I kind of just had to stick it out. And I think that in that situation, a lot of the counselors I had on campus, not just like official counselors, but mentors, helped me a lot. Staying in the Word helped me a lot for sure.
That's awesome.
And being able to lean on my teammates. I had one teammate that was there with me from the beginning to the end. And she ended up not playing her last year. And it was kind of messed up, but it was like, hey, she was still there for me, even though she decided to go into a different route. And I definitely think having the Word, having my family behind me was one of the biggest things that helped me through it.
So you said the senior year, coach comes in, Shalon Pillow? Okay. She had you guys come back to Tallahassee like you're preparing for the season. But 3 days before tip-off of the 2020 season, she cancels the season.
Season got canceled.
Was there an explanation as to why she did that?
A lot of it was COVID protocol.
Okay.
They said apparently there was a team vote, but it hurt. I remember getting a call. We didn't meet personally. We got a call because I think around that time somebody on the team had ended up catching COVID.
Okay.
And we just didn't feel comfortable everybody being in the same room. And I got a Zoom call, and she told me that, the season was canceled. And right then and there, my heart broke It was like my senior year. I've been working on it. I was determined in my mind that I wasn't going to let this final coaching change kill me. Like I was going to come out and do what I needed to do, regardless of the situation and regardless of what anybody thought. I was feeling good because of the things that I was doing outside of basketball as far as the athletic community on campus and across the whole SAC, Middle Eastern Athletic Conference. That was just like, I felt like it was time for me to get done what I needed to get done, and I was strong enough. And when it happened, when I heard the words, it broke my heart. It was hard. It was definitely hard. But you know, then probably about a month or so later, I ended up getting told that I wasn't getting brought back. And so I was like, okay, well now I gotta find somewhere else to go. So, you know, it wasn't really an explanation given to it as far as like deep detail. You know, we kind of just was like, all right, COVID. And I mean, that was the explanation for a lot of stuff. What COVID happened was it was just a shrug of the shoulders, and it was just like, well, COVID. Yeah. And you kept it pushing.
You say you were dealing with the SAC conference in MEAC with mental health. Can you elaborate a little bit on what you were doing? You were the president of it, so can you tell us? Because when I talked to you, that seemed to really excite you that you did that. So can you elaborate a little bit on that for us?
Yes. So SAC is the Student Athlete Advisory Committee. If you have student athletes at your school and you're NCAA certified, you have a SAC. And so SAC is kind of like the liaison between the players and the coaches to the athletic office that communicates needs as far as player needs, as far as team needs. When things feel like compliance issues are kind of wrong, we speak with them. But we also are there for the student athletes to bridge that gap between the university and the students as well, to try to bridge them closer with different events, fundraising, community outreach, and definitely for any type of player needs. And so my first year at FAMU, I was picked as the liaison for the basketball team. And then my second year, they were like, hey, you know, you did so great with running events and doing different things like that, you know, I think you should run for president. And so run for SAC president, I ended up winning, and I had a great e-board, and we had a phenomenal year my second year. And my coach, who was Kevin Lynham at the time, he was the coach that recruited me to go to FAM. He was the interim my junior year. He supported me with SAC so much that we had a game. Our very first game of the season was the day after the MEAC SAC conference in Norfolk. And we sat down and we came up with a plan, and he looked me in my face and he told me, he was like, I'm gonna let you go. You gotta get on a plane and you gotta come right back and be in Jacksonville, Florida by the night before the game. But he said, if I let you go and you come back with anything less than the president for MEAC, it's gonna be a problem. And so I went. I gave my speech about family, and because we pushed FAMU at the time, because we were dealing with a lot of athletes that had mental health issues at the time. It was a big, big burden in the community in Tallahassee, and I can't recall as many as we had. I want to say it was definitely more than about 20 to 25 cases of just people I had to help through certain mental health issues just to keep them with the sport. Because, I mean, if you talk to any athlete that went to an HBCU, man, it's hard. Because you're not spoiled, but you're expected to give the same effort, the same energy, and it's taxing. It weighs a lot. The backgrounds are just so different from everybody. And so I went there, I talked about family, and I talked about FAMU, because that's what we called it. And I was able to win the SAC president for the entire Middle Eastern Athletic Conference, and kind of took that and ran with it and put an emphasis on mental health, because that's something that hit home to me. And the year that COVID hit, I did my first big event as a president, and we had a president's symposium that involved a lot of teams and schools from the Middle Eastern Athletic Conference, CIAA, some of the committee members, as well as different coaches from different conferences, not only just CIAA, MEAC, CAA, SEC, SWAC and all of them. Like, it was a great event. And we were able to kind of talk and ease some of the fears of the student athletes and give some of the leaders, the student athlete leaders and the coaches, some feedback to take back to these schools and be like, hey, you know, these conferences are pushing for you. We have counselors. We're trying to get these things going to make sure these student athletes who are alone in states far away from home are able to get back with their families or able to at least have somebody there for them in this time of like just straight loneliness that COVID was. So it excites me because it was a project that I had a lot of backing on.
Okay.
Being a SAC president, and it was definitely very supported by my teammates. They made it so much fun. The student athletes at FAMU made it so much fun, but we were able to get so much done.
That's awesome. You made a good point. You said HBCU student athletes are not spoiled. They get it from the mother because you aren't coddled, you aren't babied. You don't have what the PWIs have. You don't have that. You don't get to just walk around and do what you want. And you know, PWIs, you miss a meal, you can go get that meal later. You miss a meal at the HBCU level, you don't eat. It just doesn't work like that. It doesn't work. They don't have the budget for you to be coming in and out of there. It's a big difference. So a lot of people wondering what she mean by not spoiled. HBCU athletes are not spoiled. It's a grind. Coaches aren't spoiled. I mean, I know some of these guys that coach in the MEAC and coach, you know, football, and they aren't making the money that you would think they're going to make. And they love it, so they do it. You know, but at the end of the day, it's nothing like people think. Don't think it's a lot of money, because it's not. Deion Sanders gave you the real. He was getting $300,000, which is a lot for an HBCU football coach. That is like 3 times most of them is getting. Most of them are seeing about 6 figures barely. He was getting 3 times that. So it's not a lot of money for the hours, the travel, the recruitment, the dealing with the students, the 24/7 job that comes with it. It's not a job. It's not for everybody. So Morgan made a great point. They're not spoiled. Coaches aren't spoiled, and neither are the athletes. It's not easy. And it's funny you mentioned FAMU and the MEAC, because now FAMU is in the SWAC. I think they left a year later to go to the SWAC for more money, which is cool. Not mad at them.
It was a great decision. I support it.
It's a great decision. I mean, you know, SWAC is a super conference with a lot more teams. The MEAC is now down to like 6 teams, I believe, total. So, cool stuff. Tell us a little bit about your playing there, just your playing, and, you know, how did you go about being smaller and undersized, but you fought through all that, and you battled, and you were on a D1 team, so size didn't matter to you, obviously, because D1 is D1. I don't care if it's FCS, FVS, it's D1, and it's the top of the chain. So tell us a little bit about playing at FAMU and going to play these games against the Floridas, because you need the money, and going up against some of these, you know, Power 5 schools, and how was that, traveling around to play in these big arenas where you walk in and it's 20,000 people screaming, and, you know, tell me how was that?
I'll tell you about my most memorable time, where my delusion that in my mind I am 6 foot tall was very much humbled. We played Tennessee.
Oh, man.
My very first year, I want to say it was like the second game of my very first year at FAMU. And they had the easiest game plan. I'm 5 foot tall. Everybody on Tennessee probably was at least like 5'9" and up. And the easiest thing they could do was just trap me. They just trapped me. I couldn't see nothing else after that. One person put their arm up, it was over with. And I think that was like, it was the most humbling experience, but it also made me want to go harder. Being somebody of my size, I was just joking with my boy players today. They was like, well, what did you do like when you left Riverdale? And I told them about JUCO, and I'm like, I averaged 6 rebounds a game at Maryland JUCO. Wow. Because it was just like, you know, the grind, you had to fight for it. And so I kind of had that same energy in college. Like, I was a hustle player. No matter what it was, I was hustling. I was getting on the floor to get the ball. I was leading. If it was a game where I wasn't really getting off, if I wasn't really able to score over who they put on me, especially with these teams like Florida and Tennessee, LSU, Texas Tech, I was being shifty and then dishing it off. Or it was a run the floor, control the tempo, and move in that way. So it made me learn my game from a different aspect, going from being a scorer in junior college back to being a pure point guard my last 2 years of college basketball. But it was, nevertheless, it was fun to see these environments and then to play against people I knew and I grew up playing against. It was always fun to play Florida because we played Kiki Smith, who ended up getting drafted.
Yep.
Kiki went to Forestville High School. We played against each other majority of our high school career, and it was kind of cool to just, you know, be able to go and play against her in a whole nother state and be able to just have fun and laugh and joke and play on the court, but still be able to, you know, get work done. It was cool to have that DMV aspect of being able to talk trash, but game still game at the end of the day.
Exactly.
So, I mean, it was definitely an experience playing these bigger schools. It was, you hated it because it was always the first thing you went into the game was just like, oh, y'all are going to get whooped. Y'all are going to get whooped like it's a money game. Y'all are going to get whooped. And be like, nah, we're going to put up a fight. We're going to put up a fight. We're not laying down. I think one of the best games we put up a fight with was Texas Tech. We fought that whole first half, and then that second half, they just came out and they had a great game plan, and they were able to outsize us and outrun us, and it was just, that was it. But for the most part, playing these teams, man, it allowed me to, one, have that aspect of, like, to say I played at these places. Like, to say I played on Pat Summitt Court is something that I will never get over. The lights, the arena, it was a community day. It was their first home game, so the gym was packed. It was loud. My dad drove down to watch us play. That's what it was like. At the end of the day, like, I once the recovery from the bashing I got from the 6 and up players they had went down, it was like, it was crazy to say I did it.
That's
you know, so it's definitely a fun experience when you think about it on the back end. You hate to lose, you hate to be put in those predicaments, but when you give it your all, man, you can only just look back and see the good of it. So
That's it. That's a very good point. And for those that don't know, Texas Tech, most famous alumnus is Cheryl Swoops, WNBA superstar, probably one of the 3 best women players we've ever seen. And you mentioned Tennessee, Pat Summitt, the likes of Shamika Holtzclaw, Tamika Catchings, Candace Parker. I can go on for days.
The list goes on.
Nikki Nikki McCray, all of them played for legendary Pat Summitt down in Knoxville at Thompson Bowling Arena. So, dope stuff you got there. Let's get into it's over for you at FAMU. And May 2021, you found out you're pregnant.
Whew, that story.
Let's talk a little bit about that.
My beautiful baby girl. So May 20th, 21, I went to go visit my mom in Alabama to, you know, Mother's Day, just to go say hey, because she had moved and we were still living up here. And I get down there and I'm just like not feeling good. So she's like, all right, go ahead and go to the doctor and let me know what they say, if you need to get some x-rays or whatever. And they tell me, like, you're pregnant. And I'm like, okay, that's nice. Let's figure this out. And they're like, well, we can't. My mom lives in this small country dirt road town. The emergency room didn't even have ultrasound techs.
Wow.
So they were like, well, you got to go into town an hour away and go, go get an ultrasound and figure out how far along you are and all this other stuff. And so when I do, I'm getting the ultrasound and they tell me they're like, she has all 10 fingers and all 10 toes. And I look at my mom. My mom looks at me and I'm like, how pregnant am I? And the lady was like, you're 24 and a half weeks. And at that very moment, it was just like my entire world changed.
Let's talk a little bit about this coaching back at your alma mater. That's dope. Let's talk about that.
So I guess we'll go to the origin story. I was training over the summer, definitely making a lot of good connections with the kids in the area, and ended up getting a teaching job at Riverdale. One day I was like, well, you know, I got to do something with basketball while I'm here. I can't just be in a building and not do something with basketball. And so I went in the gym one day and the girls were running practice and I saw Coach Sean, and Coach Sean actually worked on the staff with Coach Richardson during the time when I was there at Riverdale. And I told him, I was like, man, wherever you put me, like I wanna work with the girls. And so ended up working with the middle school girls as an assistant basketball coach my first year, and had the time of my life just learning. A lot of coaching as a point guard, it feels like it's the same thing, except for you're just not on the floor. which is probably the hardest part, is you're
They say
not on
point
the
guard is an
floor.
extension of the coach.
Extension of a
Extension of a
coach.
coach,
See?
yeah.
It's a, well, like everybody knows that.
Yeah.
And it's just like,
Yep.
so I had a phenomenal group of kids, man, my first year, like star athletes, hoopers. 6th and 7th graders and a few 2 or 3 8th graders that were whooping up on 10th grade and 11th grade teams. And we ended up finishing our year as Missile League champions, record of 17-1. It was a fun year. A lot of all-stars, a lot of great players, a lot of players that I know for a fact their name is going to get called in a few years. And to be a part of their growth and to still be with them, even though I'm not on the girls' side anymore at Riverdale, it's pretty fun, and it's a testament to, you know, the footprint I have with them. Then I developed a relationship with Coach Beanie because Coach Beanie is a pro at something that I want to be a pro at. So automatically you're going to attach yourself to them. And, you know, he's a great guy. We ended up becoming really close, and I learned a lot from him over the summer. And he asked me, he was like, man, you know, I love what you're doing. I love the vision you have. You know, you with me? Or what are we doing? And so I was in between working with another program. I was in between staying with the girls program at Riverdale, and then now this was also on the table for me as well, because I had a lot of good interactions with the boys over the summer. And when I told him one day, I was just like, I think it's beneficial for, sometimes you gotta be selfish about your own growth. And as much as I love those girls on the middle school side, the opportunity to grow and work with a boys varsity team and also be under somebody who is directly under your mentor, who is doing and succeeding abundantly in something that you want to do. He's putting you in the room with these people. He's helping my training career. He's getting me clients. Like, I think being under him was one of the smartest decisions at the time, and it helped me grow. So I told him, I was like, I'm with you. What you need me to do? And so that very first practice, I got in there, and he let me run some things. He let me, you know, lead certain drills and everything. And so then towards around Capital Hoops time, for those of you that don't know, DMV Capital Hoops Summer League is the biggest summer league that we have in the area. It encompasses so many great players. It was such a great, fun thing to be a part of. But I felt that pressure of my first year coaching because it was my first year being a head coach, because I was head coaching the boys during the tournament. And we ended up finishing 11-2. We had our ups and downs. We had a rocky DMV live period, but we were able to get back on and reestablish some growth. And it was phenomenal. Coaching at my alma mater is one thing, but being able to coach the kids in this area and the drive that the kids in this area have, the athleticism, the ability, like, it's something, like, it's always been said, it's something different in the water here. And to see it firsthand outside of the perspective of actually growing up in it has been amazing. Some of my kids are just pure athletes, and they do so well in what they do that they want to grow. They're learners. And one thing I tell them all the time is, don't ever be scared to be perfect. Like, don't strive to be perfect, because it creates these unnecessary nerves. And it's like, I want you to be the best that you can be, and perfection will come because of that. And when that comes, you know, you'll be fine. And that's a mental thing. Like, you can't overpress yourself to be more than what you know you can be, because what you can be is already enough.
Right.
And so these kids are learning day by day, and to be able to be in the classroom with them and be in the gym with them, I'm learning so much about them, but it's also helping them grow as well. And I guess one of the other biggest parts of being, you know, back on my alma mater is to be able to stand on a floor that I've been a part of winning championships at. And that's been the coolest part, to say, hey, like, I'm back here coaching, but when I played here, you know, we were playing at Madison Square Garden, and we were winning NACA, Nike Nationals. Like, I got some of the best experiences from playing basketball in high school. We got to travel. We went to Germany. We went to the Virgin Islands. We spent time overseas. We spent time across the country. We went to New York for Rose Classic and got to play in the slums with the mic on. Everybody got on the same colors, just a different jersey, getting the grind out dirty. So it was definitely fun to go back and tell them, like, hey, this is what Riverdale was. And I 100% believe that it can get back to being a powerhouse like it once was. We just have to grow it to it. So being back there definitely feels like right timing. It feels like right timing.
Pretty cool. And you're coaching the boys, man.
Yes.
That's pretty cool. So how is that? You know, because, you know, coaching, you're a female.
Mm-hmm.
And as you stated, you know, these guys are probably 6'3", 6'4". They're big guys. How receptive have they been to you? Because that's pretty dope.
That's a test of your knowledge.
Okay.
You can't fake that. You can't fake it till you make it. And one thing I try to definitely be with them is 100% transparent. It's been from the day I met them, you know, I commanded their attention, I commanded their respect, and I told them, like, hey, this is what we need to work on, this is what we need to do. And when they went out there, you know, you always got to give kids that one time to do what they want to do.
Yeah.
And then when they realize it don't work, they'll come running back to you like,
You're
oh,
right.
yeah. So what did you say
Yeah.
I needed to do on this layup? Or what did you say I needed to do on my crossover?
Yeah.
What's the footstep I need to make for this turn so I can get back in front of somebody on defense? And I think once the knowledge that I had started pouring into them, I earned their respect. And once I had their respect, I think it's been, from here on out, it's just been like, hey, Coach Mo got it. Like, Coach Mo knows what she's doing. They back me in everything. They are like, it's like having a big group of oversized little brothers. And from any aspect, like, they listen, they understand, and they're ready to be better. And I think it also is a testament to the group of young men that I have, because they're able to see past that misogynistic barrier that a lot of people can't see past. And so when you grow up and you're watching and you're learning from these WNBA players as a youngin', you know, it's like, hey, a female coach can do it too. And they want to get in the gym with me. They want to train with me. They want to train at my training sessions with some of the other kids that I have, because they're like, hey, she knows what she's talking about. So I think that's one of the things with crossing that barrier, is that you definitely, it puts to the test, do you really know what you're talking about? Do you really know what you're doing? And although I'm learning, I feel like a lot of the game that I'm a student of the game, and I've watched it from both aspects, the male and the female aspect. And to me, fundamentals are fundamentals, no matter which way you look at it from a male or female perspective. And so at the end of the day, if you can't dribble with your left hand, it don't matter if you're a guy or a girl, I'm still going to force you to your left side. So it's that's a barrier that doesn't need to be seen. A majority of the difference is just the athleticism and the speed, but it's still the same game at the end of the day.
Sure.
So it's fun. It's fun to be able to be on the other side, and to be able to learn. We got a new coach, Bruce Shingler, that used to coach at University of Maryland. He's had a great, stellar coaching career in past, and I'm already learning a lot from him since he's been there. We've developed a really good relationship, and he's trusting me with a lot of things as far as on the court, and helping to develop my growth. So I'm looking forward to the season and the schedule that we have. It's going to be fun.
National schedule?
National schedule. So.
Always at Riverdale Baptist. And to hear you say that made me think about when Becky Hammond became the assistant for the Spurs, and Greg Popovich let her coach the summer league team. And they asked her, how was she handling that? And she said, I've been doing this 30 years. She said, so honestly, I got more knowledge than all of them put together. So they could either buy in or buy themselves out. And when she said that, she said it like, they respect me because of what I know and what I've accomplished. And I've come through the college ranks, and I played, 10, 12 years in the WNBA at the highest level. I was the Liberty's best player with Teaspoon and Vicky Bullitt with Vicky Johnson at one time. Those were the three best players. And when she said that, I was like, she could be the first female to coach the NBA team. And I do remember the Portland Trailblazers, before they hired Chauncey Billups, interviewed her. And I actually thought she was going to get the job, and I think they got a little scared and went with Chauncey. Fine, he deserved it. He deserved a chance too. But I think when Popovich steps away, she'll have a chance to leave the Aces and coach the Spurs if she wants. I think so. She may break. She's already broken ground, but she's going to maybe be the first to be a real head coach of a WNBA team in season and not just the summer league. So
exactly.
That's a great story. So anything else you want to elaborate on that we may not have touched? And that's kind of what I got when I talked to you yesterday, so I didn't want to
Yeah,
You
no,
know?
no, no. You're fine. You're
yeah.
fine. I mean, I guess I could touch on Becky Hammond.
Yeah.
Becky Hammond and Christy Tolliver are my two role models. And to
Okay.
see Christy Tolliver do what she's doing now, she was my role model as a point guard when I was in college and when I was in high school.
Okay.
So to see her do exactly what I want to do, she goes and gets off of a game and will turn around and be with the Wizards the next day. And now I want to say she was with Dallas at one point.
She's still with Dallas.
She's still with Dallas.
Dallas
Okay.
now, with
So
Jason
still with
Kidd.
Dallas,
Yep.
but they had a game yesterday with the Mystics.
Yep.
And I'm pretty sure she's going to take her little time and she's going to be down there again.
Yep.
Like, that grind, man, that grind of doing what you want. Like, I feel like as a woman, you got to go so much harder. And I will never take away from the grind of a guy, but like as a woman, it's a room. And that room is very small. And not all of us can fit in it, but we can't be everybody trying to bust through the door at once. We have to build each other up. And when it's your turn to enter the room, you enter the room. And so you watch and you study and you learn from the people who are already in the room, so you can take what they're doing and make it 10 times better. And so I think that's really like the main thing I have to say, especially to my young female athletes. Like, don't be in a rush to get in the room. Just do what you can do to put yourself in that position that when your name is called, you're ready. Because it's rare that our names are called. And if you have that opportunity to get it called, you need to shine on that stage because you can't take that for granted. And so I feel like Becky Hammond and Christy Tolliver are just two amazing examples of women breaking ground in something. And like, even as little as this is a start of something so big. Me breaking ground and being the first woman to interview here opens the door for so many more. And it opens the door, me being, I really think, I'm not 100% sure, I might need to fact check this tomorrow, but I might be one of the first, if not the only, female to coach on the men's side at Riverdale Baptist. And it was also a thing that was a conversation going. It was me and another female coach that were the only two female head coaches of the entire DeMatha Summer League.
Wow.
Out of the 30-plus teams there.
32 teams, I think it is.
I was the only female coach in the semifinals. In the top 9, we were ranked number 2 throughout throughout that summer league, and we held that ranking. And a lot of the conversations I had, were like, wow, it's you on the bench. And it's just you on the bench. And sometimes I had Coach Surratt with me, but he was also coaching JV at the time. And it was just like, they listen, they pay attention. And I'm like, because when my name was called, you have to be ready.
Real quick, you made a good point about people trying to figure out why you're the only one on the sideline and you getting it done. You shocked them. Like a woman coaching males and in the DeMatha Summer League, that ain't nothing but the top of the top. See, that the DMV, when you mentioned y'all struggled in the DMV live period, there ain't nothing to hang your head about because that's a hard live to compete at. So this is a hotbed for basketball. So everybody is good at it. Even the worst teams have talent.
Exactly.
People be like, man, I'm like, yeah, they got talent though. Maybe it's not being harnessed right or developed the right way or being coached the right way, but everybody has some form of talent on their roster in the DMV. It's just what it is. It's too much talent around here.
It's too much talent.
It's too much. So that's pretty awesome.
No, not really. I mean, definitely just leaving on a note that I guess to all the young athletes, especially ones that are growing, be fair to yourself. Be kind to yourself. Your parents are going to push you like crazy, and sometimes it might feel like they're not on your side, but they are. Your coaches are going to push you like crazy, and sometimes it feels like they're not on your side, and sometimes they aren't. Sometimes, some coaches aren't, and I understand that. But you have to be fair to yourself and allow yourself to grow. Allow yourself to mess up. Allow yourself to be able to go through the growing pains of you getting better because you have to grow. You don't just wake up one morning and you're great. Nobody great has ever woke up one morning and was great. Even you go to the gym every day and still have a bad game. That's life. It's a basketball in the air going into the hoop. You can tell it to do what you want it to do, but at the end of the day, the air not right, you're going to miss. So it's like you can't beat yourself up. Don't ever beat yourself up to the point where you can't bring yourself back out to fight. So
you make a good point about the ball not going in. Coaches always say, in any sport, the ball may not go in the hole. You may not score touchdowns in football, but effort energy, tenacity. That you control that. The ball going, it's a make or miss game. It's going to happen. The basketball gods may not shine on you that day. It may not happen. But as you stated, still put forth an effort. Because at the end of the day, it is a make or miss game. It doesn't matter. The NCAA tournament shows you that every year. Because you get teams that aren't supposed to be anywhere knocking off 1 seeds, and you go, what happened? Well, they came out, they made a few threes that game, got the 3-point ball going, and 3-point ball changes the game. And before you know it, if I'm trading 2s for 3s, at some point I'm gonna have to figure out how to hit some 3s. I'm gonna be behind, and that's But you make it that whole thing. Is just what she said. Give yourself some credit, athletes, student athletes, young athletes. Don't always beat yourself up. Oh, I didn't do this right. Come on. You work hard. You put in the effort every day. Everything's not gonna go right every day for you. It's not gonna be perfect, but keep grinding, keep pushing yourself, and just keep the mental part of sports is so much greater than what people want to talk about it for. And that's why we do this, because it's a safe space for you to come and air out some things that you may not have been able to air out around other people, or didn't feel comfortable telling others or whatever. And we here at the Herb Adderley 26 Foundation, we feel like this is a great thing to do, because it allows people just to come in and talk about things that they've been harnessing, or may not have shared, or couldn't share, or no one would listen, or just didn't want to share at that time. And to have you come in and be the first female athlete is pretty dope, because it's the 4th interview we've done. We've done Josh, Pat, and Kareem before this, so this is pretty dope, and we're just picking up some steam. So we want to thank you for coming through.
Thank you so
and
much.
taking your time with us.
Thank you for having
telling us
me.
your story,
I appreciate
and it's a great story, and we're just glad to see that you're going strong. All things considered, what you've dealt with in the past, and you're smiling. You're back home. You're coaching, and tell everyone where they can find your schedule so they can check out the Riverdale Baptist team and all that.
So if you want to find our schedule, it is going to be on the Riverdale. So our ad name is RBS Varsity Men's Hoops. And if you're looking for any training content, any basketball content from me, my ad is the Skills Coach Mo on Instagram.
Pretty cool. You got it. Coach Mo.
Thank you guys for having me.
Coaching them up. Want to thank everyone for tuning in to another live recording here of the Herb Adderley 26 Foundation Candid Conversation. I am your host, Devon POV Mason. God bless, and we are out.
Herb Adderley etched his name into the NFL record book with this 80-yard interception for a
Yeah,
touchdown.
hope that God can defend them. Yeah, got the world trying to kill them. Yeah.